I'll have that blood sample in about 5 seconds. Okay.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're taking a look at 10 times killers left behind creepy messages for investigators to find.
The general tenor of these notes was to tease.
The Son of Sam letter.
I want you to go out and kill. Kill! Kill! Kill!
David Berkowitz, also known as the Son of Sam, terrorized New York City in the mid-70s, killing and wounding many with his .44 caliber revolver. On April 17, 1977, Berkowitz committed the double murder of Valentina Suriani and Alexander Esau, bringing his body count to 5. Up to this point, he was known as the .44 caliber killer. However, that changed when authorities found a handwritten note by Berkowitz, in which he not only taunted the police force, but also identified himself as the Son of Sam. The letter is incredibly eerie, not just for its taunting content, but also its frequent misspellings, grammatical errors, and rambling, often of an incoherent nature. It provides a glimpse into the troubled mind of its author.
You thought what you were doing was right? It was not right, but that somehow this had some kind of plan.
Message Machete. There was no questioning the intentions of one Prince Hepburn after the forensic report of this crime scene came back from the lab.
After just over an hour of deliberations, a jury has determined that Prince Hepburn is guilty of killing his girlfriend Nellie Brown Cox 2 years ago.
This is because Hepburn actually left behind the murder weapon with a very specific pair of messages written about both the actual and intended victims. A bloody machete was found at the scene where Hepburn murdered his girlfriend with the phrase, "This is what cheaters get," scrawled on the blade. On the other side was a message for the other potential victim. It's the level of morbidity that only tends to be seen in horror movies, but in this case, the horror was very, very real.
When the verdict was handed down, Hepburn appeared calm, the same way he had appeared throughout the trial.
Tarot cards. The Beltway snipers terrorized the Washington, D.C. area back in 2002, utilizing long-distance rifles to maximize the cold and detached distances between them and their victims.
Go. Go.
John Allen Muhammad and Lee Boyd Malvo utilized different calling cards over the course of their terror spree. But one particularly chilling moment occurred after the October 7th shooting of Iron Brown. Malvo and Muhammad left the death tarot card at the crime scene, inscribed with the words, "Do not release to the press. For you, Mr. Police, and call me God."
Leads that once didn't mean anything started to bring the case together.
It was creepy and deeply disturbing, to say the least.
I mean, I was a monster. If you look up the definition, I mean, that's what a monster is. I was a ghoul. I was a thief. I stole people's lives.
Pentagrams.
Why did you kill those people?
No comments. No comments. I cannot answer that at this time.
Richard Ramirez, better known as the Night Stalker, had a strange fascination with pentagrams. He famously drew one on his hand during his initial court appearance, but that wasn't the first time law enforcement encountered the symbol in this case. Back on May 29, 1985, Ramirez assaulted sisters Mabel Bell and Florence Lang in their home. Following the attack, he stole Bell's lipstick and drew 2 pentagrams on the bedroom walls.
He just left so much destruction and lives.
But the thing that was so frightening about it from like the public's point of view, remembering back then, was that it was all so random.
He continued this MO when he attacked married couple Peter and Barbara Pan on the night of August 18th. After shooting them both, Ramirez grabbed some lipstick and drew a pentagram on the bedroom wall along with the phrase, "Jack the Knife."
I think she was spared because he said, "Get on your hands and knees and say you love Satan." And she said, I just looked in the eye and says, "No, I will not do that. I believe in Jesus Christ."
BTK's Polaroids.
The 3 photos are of a woman's dead body. The driver's license belongs to Vicki Wegerly, killed in her home in 1986.
After at least 10 victims and many long years, the BTK killer, real name Dennis Rader, was finally caught on February 25, 2005. Virtually every place associated with Rader became an instant crime scene, including his church, house, and business. And in all 3 places, investigators found disturbing evidence of his crimes.
He had dolls that he used to help facilitate his imagination, and he would experiment.
Rader had personally taken Polaroids of his victims in various stages of distress and decomposition, and stored these photos throughout the aforementioned locations. The macabre images served as irrefutable proof of his guilt and helped secure a conviction and sentence of 10 consecutive life terms.
I always had the tripod, and so I rigged that up, and lo and behold, I could take pictures of myself.
Dead driver's license. David Kalick was unapologetic after murdering his ex-girlfriend in 2014. So much so that he posted his grotesque handiwork to the internet.
He was drinking beer while police were hunting for him and talking about his dead girlfriend as if she was still alive.
It was known as the 4chan murder in the press, after Kalick uploaded photos of the crime and text apparently lamenting the fact that, quote, "It's way harder to strangle someone to death than it looks on the movies." Additionally, Kalick wrote messages around the house, including bad news on blinds in the home and "she killed me first" on a framed photo. Finally, Kalick scrawled out a blunt statement on his ex's driver's license, one that simply said, "dead."
And in his confession note, Kalick also said, quote, "Running from the cops was so much fun." Then he signed his initials, DK.
A deadly plea.
The random savagery of the lipstick killer didn't jibe with a city known for its strong, safe neighborhoods.
The legal case of the lipstick killer, William Herons, was a mess, featuring inconsistent prosecution, shoddy police work, and illegalities behind the scenes.
It was then, with his own lawyers encouraging him, that he stopped fighting and decided to take the rap for 3 murders he did not commit.
There are some who feel that Herons wasn't even the notorious serial killer who left a creepy moniker-defining message at the scene of a crime. It was scrawled on a victim's apartment wall, and it said, quote, "For heaven's sake, catch me before I kill more. I cannot control myself." Herons was ultimately sentenced to life in prison for 3 separate murders, although he died in prison maintaining that his confession was coerced.
He insisted he had confessed solely to save himself from the electric chair, not because he was guilty.
A promise to return. She may currently live under an alias, but the woman born Mary Bell possesses the gruesome distinction of being Britain's youngest female killer.
Oh, she was wicked. She was. I think there's no question about it.
Bell was still a preteen when she strangled the first of her 2 victims back in 1968. By all accounts, Bell's home life was full of trauma and mistreatment at the hands of her mother, and she displayed troubling and dangerous behavior for some time before killing her first victim, Martin Brown.
She was deeply embedded in a sort of petty crime environment, an environment in which violence against each other was something that was almost acceptable and the norm.
Later, Bell and an accomplice would not only harass Brown's mother prior to her son's funeral, but they also left taunting notes to police at a nearby nursery they vandalized. One of the notes read, "I murder so that I may come back."
The general tenor of these notes was to tease and provoke the police because the police weren't making any progress.
Bloody writings. While the Manson family is notorious for killing Sharon Tate, their true victim count is actually much higher. Throughout the summer of 1969, the family killed 9 individuals, although they are suspected of more. At 3 of these crime scenes, various messages were written in the victim's blood. After murdering Gary Hinman, one member wrote the phrase "political piggy" on the wall. At the infamous Tate crime scene, Susan Atkins wrote "pig" on the front door.
Go around there, see if there's a back entrance. Go.
The last and perhaps most famous message was left at the La Bianca scene. Patricia Krenwinkel wrote the phrases "rise," "death to pigs," and "helter skelter." The latter of these was misspelled and became the eventual title of Vincent Bugliosi and Kurt Gentry's landmark book. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Ciphers. A cipher is a coded message that's deliberately disguised in order to convey a hidden message. There have been a number of killers over the years that have communicated in ciphers, most notably the Zodiac.
It's okay. This is all gonna be okay.
The case of Ricky McCormick is another involving ciphers. and one that also remains unsolved. Here, the message was found on McCormick's body after his remains were found in a Missouri cornfield on June 30th, 1999.
Within Ricky's pockets were 2 pieces of paper, both filled with seemingly random letters and punctuation that local police had no chance of being able to decipher.
The FBI is still actively seeking public assistance in cracking the cipher at the time of this writing, since it's believed that the clue to the identity of McCormick's murderer lies within the code.
The head of the CRRU says, "We are really good at what we do, but we could use some help with this one. Breaking the code could reveal the victim's whereabouts before his death and could lead to the solution of a homicide."
Which of these stories creeped you out the most? Let us know in the comments below.
I'm not sick, I am insane, but that will not stop the game. This letter should be published for all to read. He wants to be published, he calls it a game. I mean, this could be our boy.